This is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. Of course, as I say, go to the Weird Renegade website. The address is a little different. It is waywardrenegadewitchesblog.com. Type that into your search engine directly. And remember, then the previous video I said read the dang AI energy that they created. I didn't even create that energy. But of course, go click on to old shows of Blog Talk Radio. And as I told you yesterday, you can also hit up Blog Talk directly, but also look in the description area for any services that you may need, because you know Wayward is about that revenge, redemption, responsibility, that spell work, revenge, and redemption. And of course, I do the 101 monthly lessons, but as you already know, it's coming to the end. And then next month, we'll start over again. I'll keep you posted, but that doesn't mean that you cannot contact me for 101 frequencies as it connects with yourself to become a better you, be a better frequency, a better foundation. But at times, of course, we do that work, you know, that spell work as we call it, because you know I am that occultist. But as you already know, art is occultism. Occultism is a motherfucking art. However, I'm just back really quick because there were some energies that people were hitting me with, and that I also seen, of course, in the comments. So I just want to kind of put this out as the energies is pretty, you know, current and is in its real time. So somebody asked me about the energies of Mariah Carey. And I noticed RIP or whatever is going on with Mariah Carey. Now, however, we have to be extra careful because, as you already know, I've been talking about the cyber frequencies, cyber witchcraft, and cyber bewitchery. So in reality, we have to be careful when we out here going RIP and all this stuff, because they have created a whole scene surrounding this person we call Mariah Carey. We really don't know too much about her. All I know is that when she first came out in the late 80s, and the woman that was the vision of love, and the woman that we see today, the body frame, the frequency is just not the same. What it is, what it ain't, we could say allegedly. I'm just saying from my observation, from when you go back to a vision of love and you look at the body, and then you go to honey and you look at the body, something seems very interesting, because I remember when she initially came out. However, when Mariah Carey first initially came out, she was kind of a mama's girl. She really hyped up her mother, had this certain respect for her mother, and so on and so on. And I remember when she came out, it was like a competitiveness between she and Whitney Houston, which was very interesting. What it is, what it ain't. However, they from the same frequency anyway, which is that East Coast. Then as time went on, you start to see how they were mounting different energies on her. Of course, she married that man, but you start to see the various energies mounting on top of her. And then after that, she gave you this frequency as she turned into a butterfly, I guess popping out, what's it called, the chrysalis or whatever. So then she did a 1,000-degree change. So you're like, well, who is this? And then she was more kind of sexualized, but also had a certain frequency of like, as if like a mental energy. So we don't know what it is, what it ain't. And then later, then people started talking about how they were basically kind of after her, and she kept trying to keep herself copacetic. So that's when I was talking about how she went from what I heard to Cindy Trim, and hired Cindy Trim to be her prayer warrior. However, Cindy Trim is foul because she need to pay that congregation of that money allegedly that Mariah Carey was paying her to do them prayers, and the real prayers was coming from the congregation. And that's the fucking what's up. And so anyway, I knew somebody else who knew somebody else who I guess used to design, I guess those bling blings on those red bottoms for her. And I said, And then when I heard that all of a sudden the Kardashians got involved and now they wanted to bling bling from this girl, I said, that's not good. How did that recommendation come about? You know, and so on and so on. So I just started hearing various things and I said, something's going on with Mariah Carey. And so when I kind of seen that frequency of Cindy Trim kind of moving on and, you know, having a different frequency, I said, what's going on here? And then I heard it was that other YouTuber. I don't know, she was that Australian chick. What's her name? Marion, something like that. And I used to listen to her. And then, of course, her channel disappeared because they were saying that she was calling people all type of niggers and so on. However, she was the one that was talking about how they were after Mariah Carey and they were allegedly trying to take her out and been trying it and then so when she said that, I started to kind of notice the frequencies of how the real Mariah Carey was kind of, you know, acting. But we already knew that her sister was very interesting in the motherfucking streets, but I had an understanding that her and her mother was what it is, what it ain't. And I understood enough that she was sold to that man, you know, to marry. And then you hearing now that supposedly she was all this shit and a prostitute and all of that. But the shit with the sister had been going on forever. However, in these years, I started noticing something very interesting. I said, uh-oh, she disappeared. Her frequency changed. Then they had her under ritual in that fashion show with that tight ass dress and so on and so on. And so when I started to peep her and then I started to see more men impersonating her, I said, uh-oh, because then you couldn't tell the supposed real Mariah Carey from the fictitious one, which would be, I'll call it the male impersonators, the pretenders or the pretendee type of energy, or the drag queen frequency. So then I started to notice she was under a ritual a lot. And then I noticed that she was lip syncing her music more and more and more. Then out the blue, this energy uproots itself that all of a sudden her and her mother at odds, and her mother doubted her, and her mother did this and her mother did that. And I said that, and I always thought that was very strange, because I said, I've always understood that her and her mother was okay. This is what they showed in the media on earth. So where did it change in the heavens? Where did all of a sudden her mother was ain't shit and her mother was competing with her? Okay, because again, I've always understood that her and her mother was cool. Her mother was was supportive. So if it's what it is, what it ain't, and that was a front, okay. So you know they're changing the time. So they're fucking with time. They'll say one thing in one era, and then as of lately, they'll change it into something else, and they'll keep flip-flopping back and forth. It's kind of like Nick Cannon. First, Nick Cannon had an issue with Mariah Carey, then he didn't. The next thing you know, he's speaking negatively about her. Now he talking about he in love with her. What the fuck is going on? They fucking with time, and they're fucking with story. They're fucking around with narratives, which is air and fire frequency. And now that we're in this cyber bewitchery, we're going to get a lot of different type of frequencies of untruths, or they're going to manipulate stories. So here we are with this frequency with her mother and sister dying on the same day. And I always knew her sister was sickly. And then now they're trying to create like Mariah Carey was the martyr. But remember, Mariah Carey had an issue with her sister, and she stopped taking care of her sister. She stopped giving her sister money, because you remember her sister was an addict and out there in them streets. And remember, allegedly a while back, on the cyber energy, which is social media, the sister was complaining about Mariah Carey and the behaviors and putting information out. So when I'm looking at that, that's going to make me think that she been dead and she died then or before that, allegedly, because that frequency is very off-brand. And then the mother allegedly, now she's dead. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. And we understand old age and all that stuff, but it's like, what the fuck? And it's very interesting that this frequency happened after that super blue moon that all of them were doing rituals on. That's what I was trying to tell y'all yesterday. Stop getting involved with their astrology moon magic. We have nothing to do with that. They're pulling from our energy for their success. And now they are in the cyber world. They need to keep that energy going because the cyber world is the new cyber Hollywood, which is social media. Okay? So the bottom line is that, remember I said it used to be what is on earth is what was in the heavens, but that's no longer because they're separating the earth from the heavens, which is your solar energy, which is your universal, your galaxy, or whatsoever. And when I really started to examine even her birthday, I said, okay, here, right here, she's a set person at 55, which is the highest point. So these are my frequencies. I'm not talking about what the fuck they're talking about and whatever. I'm looking at what it is and what I've been taught. So right now, the frequencies and the numbers and the calculations, especially with her birthday, makes a lot of sense. She's like an implant. She's like a person that they had in a fucking dungeon somewhere in the catacombs, and she has a little songbirdy, and they've been mounting, which would make a lot of sense why she can't sing all that right here and right now. But however, we're looking at all of these frequencies and these energies, right? Because even through this, I'm like, dang, where in the hell are Mariah Carey's children? They've disappeared, right? It kind of reminds me of Jennifer Lopez. Remember, she had twins, boy and girl twins. And right now, you are only seeing the boy, and the boy allegedly is something with the pronouns and the non-binary. And I said, well, he's mighty young to have that type of frequency already. But you never, but as of lately, you haven't been seeing the daughter. You see Jennifer Lopez always out with the boy. Okay, so I said, well, what kind of ritual is going on here? What they have them under, right? So then, so then now you have all of this energy with Ben Affleck coming into play. Now you have what we call stars backing him up, and he seems like he's back to himself, and allegedly they said a love interest. I said, so what is all this energy, especially surrounding these kids and so on? Kids are missing. And we don't know if these are the parents. We don't know what's going on, because you're not going to tell me that one minute we seen a younger Jennifer Lopez whose skin was tight and everything else to a hag. So what the fuck happened? I said, what happened? The serum ran out? What happened? She didn't get her fix? You know how that is. Because as of lately, she's been looking interesting. And then as for Mariah Carey, she's looking younger, but she's not singing. She's lip syncing. So then now we have both of these people who basically died after, or we're going to say post supermoon. But in reality, because we are in cyber, we really don't know what shit is, and we don't even know if that's allegedly really Mariah Carey. We just know that's a person. And I'm saying you guys need to go back, search and listen to the voice of Mariah Carey. I don't want to hear what it is, what she was younger than. No. Just listen, look at the body, and then compare it and go back to her song, Honey. And then start to look at the evolution of the frequencies of this individual and how the energies have changed. Okay? So we have to remember, I guess her sister was Alice, and I think that's the one that was sick with cancer. See, and that's I believe it was that, which is a very interesting energy. because this person right here, Mariah Carey, is, of course, they say in astrology world she's an Aries. Then they want to play around with astrology and say she's a Pisces, which can tap into a subliminal frequency of what Cancer, with the sister who allegedly was in hospice and I believe died of cancer. I might be wrong, I might be right, I don't know, but that's what I thought all this time and what I understood. However, since we are in this very interesting frequency and it's August, this month has been a very hard month, and water energy really have to be careful. Pisces is going through it, because now I'm going to be layman, because I'm going to talk about astrology for a moment, because as they fuck around with astrology. Pisces has been interesting. Scorpio has been interesting, and Cancer has been interesting in this August frequency. And it actually started at the end of July with getting into what we call the Leo effect, and then getting into as what they call the super moon, right? So intentionally, some people may have been trying, who understand the super moon and understand what allegedly the moon phases. You have to be careful of that period in time, because some people may have been trying to do work on you before or on that frequency to make something set and make work set, so the next time the super moon come, you may have a certain frequency, I'm going to say bad juju or some kind of curses and spells and mayhem or destruction in your life for that period of time until the next moon. So you have to be conscious with these motherfuckers out here who be out here practicing and call themselves practicing moon magic and being common, because especially fire energy will use moon magic. Your Sagittarius, your Leos, and your Aries. So you have to be careful. And the number one frequency that will use especially moon magic are Leos. And then what comes under them are Sagittariuses. And then the Aries can flip it both type of ways in using sun and Aries frequency. I'm saying sun and moon energies. So when I'm looking at this frequency right here and tapping into the Leo, and then after that into August, and then into the super moon, this is a very serious energy, because anything people do starting into the energies of Leo up until the 19th, that means that they were trying to fuck you up. They're trying to fuck up your existence. They're trying to fuck up your money, and you just better know what it is. And a lot of them are attacking money. Okay? So it's like this. I've been looking at, what is it, the Democratic convention, the Democratic National Convention. And guess what? It started on the 19th and it ended on the 22nd. And that was a cold game, and that was a cold spell that they pulled on you people, on the simple fact. And did you see the color schemes? Did you see? We understand what it is, what it ain't. But did you see the color schemes? Of course, of the blue, and then let's just go down. You had, first of all, you had Biden there. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. Let me look at some frequencies that I found interesting here, if I can find it. Because let me see here. Because it was something that I found very interesting, and it was a senator, and I think it was a Republican senator, and he was saying, "Where is Biden?" And so many words. Ever since Kamala Harris has announced her running and so on. It's like Biden has disappeared. Okay? But let's just kind of look at some of the frequencies that they're talking about. First of all, it is true, Biden has disappeared and people been questioning where in the fuck he's been. So I said, where in the fuck is this witchcraft? What is this type of magician work? That's magician work, right? Like, okay, we just stupid and we're going to act like he didn't exist. Okay? The other energies is Hunter Biden hiding in the mist. I found that very interesting. And I said, when are the actors are going to reveal themselves? People better go read the book of Numbers, because you will start to learn everybody who they have in front of our faces, their names are in the Bible. In some kind of way, they are named in the Bible, especially the book of Numbers. And you will start to understand that none of this is by chance. None of this is by mistake. Everything is by design. And I'm telling you, they're using the Bible right in front of our faces, and we have steered away from that. We have become ignorant and disobedient in understanding what these frequencies are. Okay? So then, as I'm reading, oh, here it is. I guess it's, what's his name? Gentry Jeevers. He says, is Biden president anymore? No, seriously, what the fuck is going on? So I found it very interesting, right? So then someone else from the Democratic National Convention, they said Kamala best friend was invited to speak at the Democratic Convention. OMG, she's weird. This is awkward. This whole event is weird. That's because you had a whole bunch of not reptilians, but you might have had some gorillas fucking hiding in fucking costume. You know, the Planet of the Apes. Y'all afraid to talk about that? Have y'all ever studied gorillas? They're more human than a fucking human. They are called Homo sapiens or something? Shit. Kamala Harris has just informed us that she will not do the Fox News debate on September 4th. I am not surprised by this development, because I feel that she knows it's very difficult at best for her to defend her record-setting flip-flopping on absolutely everything she once believed, including her statements that there will be no fracking in Pennsylvania, and her horrible performance on the border as her being a border czar. This energy came from Donald Trump TikTok right here. Who this person, his name is Sean Spicer. Kamala requires an ID to attend her rally. Kamala does not want, then it says here, Kamala does not want to require IDs to vote. So they saying for her rally, you need an ID, but for the voting, you don't. So there's a lot of frequencies going on around that super moon. As we talk about some of the energies that's been going back and forth around of course, this Democratic convention, the energies walking up to it, and then post energies. So we have to understand what's going on. So when I'm really looking at, if we go back into politics, I'm tripping on, why do they have it in Chicago? Oh, because Chicago has the minerals, it has the crystals, and it has the pyramids that are there and that are hidden, and the frequency surrounded is like a focal point of energy. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. And of course, any other energies that are there, because they probably they have those plants and so on. So you already know there's a frequency. However, is very interesting because I kind of call it Satanic Day, of course, Monday or Demon Day. But when I go back to this, I said, okay, so they're using the frequency of Leo, the demon. Then, however, during that time of the 19th, there was Saturn and the moons surrounding the Saturns were moving in frequency, and Jupiter was at large. So they're using these type of frequencies. At the same time, they call it uh two um two skies, meaning two suns, two visible suns. And I'm like, and you know me, I keep saying Venus and the sun. So there were two suns at the same time sitting out. So then we have to kind of understand the movement, because August, at the end of July through August, is very hot, and it's been very hot weather. I don't know where you're at, but it's been very warm, hot weather. So they're using the frequency, of course, to manifest what they need, what they want. However, Cancers, the astrology sign Cancers, y'all better be careful. I better be careful, because they're sucking our energies for a reason, because Kamala Harris is going to turn into a Cancer. Will Smith told you the fucking what's up, and you like, wait a minute, what is above your pay grade? And it's probably above their pay grade too, because they probably like, what the fuck is she talking about? No, she is going to be a Cancer once they elect her. That's going to be a Cancer woman in office. So looking at this energy, the sun will be under the Aries, and the Venus, of course, under the Taurus. See, that's a different type of frequency. However, you're going to have the shifting of energies, because the Leo will always stay in the middle or number 2. It is not going to move in the third. It is not going to move in the first. But the Aries and Sag are going to move. The Sag is going to move at the top, and then it's going to twist again, where Aries is going to move on the bottom. But the bottom line is that the Libra is going to need to turn into a Cancer, and she will. Okay, because they played us with the whole energies of astrology, because they left the Leo to be with who? Trump. Okay, because they need that Leo where the frequencies need to be. Okay, because that's just like a placehold, and that's the game that they're playing right now. So the bottom line is that as they keep moving around with Kamala Harris in this astrology business, they're going to, so what it is that you're going to have that Libra, you have your Aries, and then with her shadow self, you see, remember, because they deal with astrology, we're talking layman. Her shadow self is Aries. The Aries can tap into the Cancer because of what I call the first group. So the Aries is going to be at the top, and it's going to make its way, of course, through the Gemini, through the Taurus, hit Cancer. Okay, because there's a certain energy, a certain frequency that she needs, so they could flip flop. And it has, and of course it has everything to do with being, as they call in their world, the gatekeepers. Because remember, the Libra is the gatekeeper of one house. The Cancer is the gatekeeper of the other house. Okay, and some people may put the Virgo over there with the energies of Libra. No, the Virgo is over with Cancer. Okay, that's why sometimes with Cancer and Virgo relationship, we can be at odds, but it's what it is. However, over here, that's why you get kind of the two Kamalas. Well, speaking layman, because we don't know who that is, but you're kind of get the two Kamalas, and the two Kamalas that you get one, like they was making fun of her, saying she was like, how dare you wish Merry Christmas. Then in the next one, she's sitting with her husband, Merry Christmas. You see that, you see that energy, because some of you guys put, those idols, like, oh, it means justice, and this and that. You mean her Libra, and the scales. Well, the scales can be similar to Gemini. It could be similar to Pisces. Okay, you see how layman everything is and how they tap all those energies together. However, it's very interesting that Black Lives Matter is not endorsing the frequency. I forgot they were around. She made a crazy ass Friedman speech, about in reference to Friedman Bank. Um, and how the original frequencies was used, and how, as they say, of course, the U.S. Congress created the bank for, as they call, I say the Holocaust, but the free slave men. Then she flipped it from free slave men to, in so many words, Black Americans, and from Black Americans into other minorities, meaning Mexicans, because Black people, we are not the minorities, they are. However, then she started incorporating their frequencies. They don't know to call her Black. They don't know to call her Indian. There's an energy going around saying you're not Black if you don't vote for her. There's a whole bunch of frequencies. So we better watch out of what's going on, because then the interesting thing about it is that they need this to get back in Capricorn, because when this person that's running for the vice president, he's at Aries, but he goes downward. He goes into Libra, so he's going down. Where if she goes from Libra, taps into her shadow self Aries, then she goes up. And when she goes up, she's going up to who? Cancer. And when she go up to Cancer, she goes up higher, because then she goes into Capricorn. You see what I mean? And then when she talks God and this and that, she's talking about the gold. She's talking about the goat. Because the other frequency, as we talk about God, the dog, and all that stuff, but now let's talk about God, the goat, because of the other frequencies where they got that word G-O-D. They got it from also G-O-A-D, and then narrow it down, of course, to God. But then G-O-A-D is also another representation for G-O-A-T, which is goat. So through Christianity, you didn't even know you were practicing Satanism all the motherfucking long, because you were saying God the energy, God this, God that, da 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 da. So then you get some people that will say Yahweh and all that stuff, and Allah and Elohim, but you have to remember the name, the A-L is in feminine, which is woman. So you're honoring a woman right there, okay? But then this other energy, which is God, don't let them fool you. It's still the goal, okay? I told you this is above your pay grade. I've been talking about that YNS energy, and how a lot of young Black guys, especially in Atlanta, have been dying. They were talking about that galaxy gas. But, my son was also telling me how a lot of young kids, young Black boys, are out there sniffing this stuff, cocaine, crack, high. There is an epidemic going on, and we're not doing anything about it. It is a scary situation. We have a whole generation lost of young Black boys into adulthood. Okay? This is like serious out here. And again, they're creating this frequency. This is bewitchery. It is witchcraft. It is a form of chemical warfare. Okay? They're offering this frequencies in the streets and so on. So we better see what the fuck is going on. They was talking about this young man named Little T Man. They found him dead due to, they said, allegedly him hitting up that galaxy gas shit. Okay? They're fucking up our children. And we're not doing anything about it. We are distracted by all of this shit with Kamala Harris, but there's real motherfucking shit happening to our children, to our young boys, period. It is detrimental. Did y'all see that shit with that Playboy, what's his name, that Playboy Cardi? And he had that woman up in his car and she was out of it. Let me tell you something. They've been drugging people for a long time out here. Especially, I was telling somebody when I had went to one of my grandmother's church friends, and I was playing around being nosy because they were there being nosy, and I found Spanish fly. And I said, what the hell was going on up in this house? I was young and I said, Spanish fly. And I stole it. And I didn't understand what the hell I was stealing. They've been getting high for a long time, right? They're out here talking about that Delta Airlines is, and this is in Colorado allegedly, they're terminating and putting people applications on hold, the American people, to hire them immigrants. Again, the story isn't straight about that whole apartment shit. I need more details because something seemed very cyber about it. It doesn't seem real. Okay, because they can create a whole frequency, just like they was talking about how they paid off the whole Sandy Hook um, um, or I guess town. Okay, what they're also not talking about is allegedly Section 8 is on pause. Allegedly it didn't ran out of money, and they said just 3 months ago it had $30 billion. So where's the money? What's going on? What happened? There's a lot of frequencies and a lot of shows going on. There's a show that is on YouTube, and I don't know what the fuck this shit is because it's full of perversion. But it's very interesting that YouTube would have these type of shows. I was seeing stuff where they teach you how to, again, wash your butt for anal sex, one for the bottom and one for the top. But they trip off of other shit, right? Wait a minute, let me get to this for a motherfucking moment. In white people news, Julia Chrisley, prison sentence has been thrown out by the appeals court. But when is Tory Lanez getting out? Because we all know he innocent. Well, some of you, because some of you guys are feminists and shit and filler ways. But the truth is, we know what it is, what it ain't. So I'm like, well, what is he really in jail for? Okay. Anyway, there's a channel. It's called Love Don't Judge. And it looked like it has various stories of frequencies that are very perverted. Okay. And one is she's not my daughter, she's my wife. My ex-husband was sleeping with my dad. This woman ended up getting HIV. This other energy, I'm 34 years old, in love with a 77-year-old man. My prison husband bought me a car. He didn't tell me his height before we met because he looked like he's a little midget. And then here, my wife was born with male and female body parts. So go look up that channel. You can see the direction of where YouTube is going, and you can see the direction of the world and its thought process. Okay, it's kind of like this story that I seen coming out of Michigan, and it's this Indian doctor. I guess he's out of Oakland, Michigan, and apparently he's here on a visa. And very interesting, they kept saying that he's a citizen. This is what I was talking about with them citizens, right? So anyway, basically what he was doing, he's a doctor, he was putting cameras in the dressing rooms, different parts of the house, different parts of the hospital, just doing the most. He was sexually assaulting children, women, all type of shit. And I'm like, damn, I'm like been researching, really looking at all these stories of deaths, women, men, children, all the above, this horrible shit. And I said, this world is fucked up. A woman left her I don't get this. She was in the military and she went and left her child with her boyfriend. That's not the child's father. He went, sexually assaulted the child and murdered the child, in so many words. And I really started to do some research as in tones and frequencies that's set in satellites. And I'm like, in the research, and you find this more in the STEM energies and research, you will understand that they be in the universal soul. Of course, you already know that they play music in, I'm going to say, in the galaxy, right? But nobody ever thinks that they use tone and frequency to cause people to be volatile and violence. So what we're talking about is the energy of air. What I'm saying to you is that there's a part of the brain that deals with the frequency that is very impulsive and that can cause you to react and be volatile. Okay? So we have to think about some things, very impulsive frequencies. So if the universal soul and they're up there in air fucking with us and they know how to open certain parts of our brains to be volatile and then shut it down. We also have to go back to the whoop wop, as we call the pandemic, and understand what the fuck did that do? And what type of new generation and beings are being generated out here that certain frequencies are having, that these people will kill, steal, and murder you and don't give a fuck. They have a infatuation, of course, with children, which is a very interesting frequency. So we better understand the bewitchery and don't think that in the galaxy that they're not doing anything. They're doing a whole lot. That's why when some of you do spell work, you're having a hard time with your spell work, because at one time what I call the radio waves were open and we can do our work in peace. Now they have clogged up the radio waves and then created cyber energies that we're on our cell phones. We are basically on laptops and whatsoever. So the thing about it is that we have to be careful with these frequencies. I mean, for example, you have all type of manifestos going on. Like this is what we call a manifesto, and this is actually spell work. And this I seen on social media. And what this person said is that, so are Black men going to stop shaming Black women for having low marriage rates when majority of Black women date Black men? And these dudes straight up said they will never marry because they're afraid of divorce. When I asked men what was the reason they've been in a relationship with a woman for a long time and not married, the answer I seen most was their fear of divorce and them not needing the government to marry them. Okay, this type of write-ups and energy, and because it is on social media, it is a petition. It is a form of spell work. It is a form of cyber manifestoing. Okay, so we have to understand what it is. You have people out here now creating, and the spirit said this was going to happen. And when I'm talking about the spirit, I'm talking about the word in the spirit of the book of the Bible said that people are going to start to present themselves. I told you guys people were going to present themselves. The spirit said people are going to present themselves because now you're having that pronoun shit was because now what you're having, that whole pronoun shit, we got to reevaluate what that is. He, she, he, they, M, I, A, G, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. We have to understand what that is, because that was a precursor for people to start to reveal themselves. You're going to have people coming out and say, I identify as a reptilian. I identify as Lucifer. I identify as King the Dragon. Now you're having more and more people out here saying, I identify as a demon. I identify as a demonic entity. Are they lying? No, they not. They identifying themselves, but we're like, okay, they crazy. They into them pronouns. No, that was another way for them to reveal themselves. That whole shit, that pronoun business, that's game. They straight gamed us on that. The entities are now uprooting themselves, and they're going to tell us who they are. If they say, I'm a flying helicopter, then motherfucker, that's what you are. You're a flying helicopter. If you say, I am a monkey, motherfucker, you a monkey. I'm a fucking gorilla. I seen you in the Planet of the Apes. I'm just saying, this is going to be the truth. If they say, I come from the gates of hell, my name is Simon. He's motherfucking Simon, bitch. Shit. So we're out here fucking around with this cyber witchcraft because now they created an app that they have an app that says we have created our first employee on AI. So basically they've created AI employees, I guess, to do work while you sleep. They work 24 hours. So they have AI employees. We should really be protesting Amazon, who fired all them people to have robots take their place. I understand the convenience. Don't worry, I use it too. But I'm like, that's fucked up. We may have to go back because we have the power to bring things down. Okay, because that Amazon took away a lot of business, and then there's an issue going on with some people downloading people's books and basically inputting the data into an AI generated frequency. So people are complaining that their books are now generating in AI, and AI is using their material to create an AI material. So they're using our art and then taking it and then creating AIs out of your human energies on Earth. You have this woman, her name is Karen Pittman. And she's an actress. I've never seen her, never heard her. And she was showing on Entertainment Tonight this tiny ass engagement ring. She's 38 years old, and she talking about she's met her soon to be husband on an app. Again, that is an AI frequency. And I said, you know what? People be out here meeting people on fucking apps. You're fucking around with an alien. Your cell phone has the same frequencies as a fucking flying saucer, extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call it. You guys are out here dating aliens. You don't know what the hell it is. You guys are on these apps dating in air instead of dating on Earth. And you guys, but hey, when I meet him, we are on Earth. No, you're not. You met him in air. You don't know what that is. That's a cyber alien. Okay, your cell phone is nothing but a spaceship that again have all the frequencies. That's still an AI energy. That's still a cyber frequency. You're meeting people online and you don't know their frequency. You're meeting them through write-ups, through air. That's nothing to brag about, right? Somebody forwarded me some shit. I guess there's a part of Los Angeles, I guess it's called Silver Lake. And I want to show you what I was talking about with that spell work, with people coming into your neighborhoods and transforming the frequencies into what they wanted to be and taking away old neighborhoods that were black. So apparently, and I don't know how old this story is, but I was so appalled when I heard it. But this is the grand wizardry of what I call motherfucking spell work. Okay, so apparently the gay community, which were gay men, went to this area of Southern California, or I'm going to say Los Angeles, called Silver Lake. Someone passes up, so thank you, spiritual constituents. However, this LA is an LA neighborhood. These motherfuckers had a whole press conference on how they removed the U-turn sign. And apparently the sign is for no cruising and no U-turns, which is logical. We've seen that in all type of neighborhoods. Well, these damn motherfuckers then sat up and said that it was discriminatory towards the LBCDEFGHIJKLMNOP crew. And so the thing about it is that, and I'm not being rude, and the thing about it is, I said, what the fuck is this? How is that not discrimination to discriminate on safety? You're discriminating against heterosexual people because of safety. So they said in the 90s, they basically put that sign there because it was discriminated against the gay people. And I'm like, what the fuck? So then I had to think about it. Oh yeah, in the 70s and 80s, the gay men would be cruising. They still did it in the 90s, cruising looking for other men. Okay, and what? But I doubt that's what that sign was and what it meant, considering Los Angeles had a lot of gang issues, a lot of people driving fast, a lot of shit going on. That sign didn't have nothing to do with you gay men out there cruising. Remember, I'm from San Francisco, so I know what cruising is. Remember, what's his name? Did that movie Cruising? See, some of y'all may be thinking cruising like a cholo cruising or low riding cruising, because remember, before low riders and before the Mexicans, before the cholos were cruising, it used to be a car club of black cruisers in Los Angeles who had the same frequency, and they don't talk about them, that they came before the Mexicans. Okay, so let me see something here. Because I think it's him who did, let's see here. No, I don't know why they don't have it here. But anyway, the movie was called Cruising. And yeah, they would be cruising, of course, looking for men. But that's not what that meant. Now, do you see how the gay community, and that's not even gay, I'm going to call that homosexual behavior. That is homosexual behavior, to go and revamp a neighborhood, lie about what the fuck it really meant. The sign meant U-turn, to say U-turn and cruising meant they was being discriminated against about stopping men from, cruising down a neighborhood. Didn't Easy-E called cruising down my 6 foot? What the fuck? This is the spell work that I'm talking about right here. Okay? And I have some further questions. Just a little bit of further questions. Have y'all been looking at Basketball Wives? What the fuck is going on with Brandy? Who is that? Who is that? You gonna tell me that's Brandy? Who is that? But here's what I wanted to talk about: the relationship between a Leo and a Cancer. I told you guys that Brooke, who's a Cancer, was going to try to push off Jackie off that show and become number one. I told you guys her daughter's death is the precursor to her being the lead on the show. I told you during the Basketball Wives reunion how Jackie was acting funny towards Brooke, that Leo, and I said, I'm riding with Jackie. What the fuck does she know, right? Lo and behold, it comes out. And Jackie was saying she using her daughter's death for a check. I told you Jackie knew and knows that woman had something happen, ritual, to her daughter, the Spirit says, what is it in John? That God loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son. Brooke loves the world, that she gave her beautiful daughter. And that's what that is. And they all know what's going on. And there's something with Jackie's energy that I feel, I mean, what it is, what it ain't, but they all know what's going on. And there's something that's not being felt. And I'm like, Brooke keeps trying to fight that woman. And I'm soon to realize, I think there's something within the heated energy of fire that gets cancers fighting. I understand Brooke. I'm a Cancer too. I'm like her. I don't know what's wrong with us. We have to figure it out as Cancers. We are very interesting. We can get volatile. Okay, especially when you might be telling some truth, because we feel that we need to whoop your ass to stop you from talking. That's the part that they don't talk about with Cancers. When they talking about all that crying ass shit, we're crying as we fighting you. That is an energy that we have. And it's something with Leos and their calm nature that heat us up even more. We could fuck with Aries because we already know who they are. We can even fuck with the Sag because we know that they with the shit. But when it comes to a Leo and that calm nature, and then they be telling the truth, we're ready to fight. Okay? So that's an interesting, I'm just being layman so you can understand the dynamic. And yes, Cancers, we are volatile. Cancer women are more volatile than Cancer men. Cancer men at least have a little bit of edit. They're a little rational. We're not rational. And the energies that they carry on that show is very pig magic, very satanic. Okay? Somebody in my comments was talking about the sorority energies that I was talking about. And they mentioned that in Atlanta, they was talking about the AKAs prostituting and stuff like that. And then they brought up the children. I remember when they were saying that part of that whole energies with the sorority prostitution frequency, there was children involved. And yes, they did sweep it under the carpet. But you know, that hit me up with the energies with Nipsey Hussle. Look, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from San Francisco. I'm going to keep it real with you. I didn't even know who Nipsey Hussle is and was. I had to ask my sons. They was like, oh. So I'm going to say it's a little bit more of a Southern California frequency, and that's okay. You know, we have our energies, right? But I'm wondering, do you guys notice how nobody talks about Nipsey Hussle in a negative way? Jaguar Wright talks very negatively about everybody, and she tells their business. It doesn't matter because that's their implant. Jaguar Wright is an implant. They feed her this information and she's telling you what it is. And that's cool in a game. However, notice she doesn't talk about Nipsey Hussle. And we never ask the questions because through the grapevine, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not being offensive or defensive, but there's things they're saying about him and trafficking. And why are they painting over his murals now? What was the energy that was what did that bring in, especially during the pandemic? Now they're painting over his murals. But how come we've never touched on the trafficking rumors? And I'm saying there's rumors. I'm saying, hey, because I don't need them on cripping on me. I'm just saying Why are we not talking about this? And why are people afraid to speak on him? And why does Jaguar write? She spreads everybody else's business. How come she never talked about him? They're all in the same frequency. They're all under the same person. Do y'all notice that? I'm just asking questions because I've heard a lot of shit. I'm just not going to say what the shit is because that's none of my business. Especially when the original, as they call it, assassination happened. They said not a murder, assassination. And the person that they accusing of murdering him, he didn't have a clue. And when you look at the video, it was like a whole movie. It was just crazy. The whole thing was crazy, but we didn't ask questions. What happened to Bobby Brown? How come he's never talked about what's going on? Where's he at? What happened with ASAP Rocky and Rihanna whole thing? We have no more questions? Nothing else? Another person that may be alive in the cyber world but dead on earth is Bruce Willis. Hear this air and fire language. He is great. I love him so much. Thank you. That's a person who's died, and you're speaking to them in the spiritual realm. And I'm going to say allegedly, but this is the way they're presenting it. Another energy, would Bobby Kennedy be pleased with son supporting Trump? RFK Jr. says Trump endorsement not out of revenge. As we're being distracted with this shit, right? This is a farce. Eerie, we love Joe signs at the Democratic convention. What the fuck is going on in South Africa? What's going on with the missionaries and white folks in South Africa? Because why are they not talking about the missionaries going over there being served like kings and queens? They're not talking about that? South Korean authorities found that some products sold by Shein, including children's shoes, bags, and belts, contained high levels of some kind of phthalates, a group of chemicals used to soften plastic. One pair of shoes had 428 times the legal, I guess, energies of this particular chemical. Let me tell you something. These clothes come in these Sheins, Fashion Nova, these Temus, these cyber clothes are toxic. And you bet, and you put that shit on your skin, your pores are open, it sweats, and then it end up fucking with your pancreas and your liver. Then you end up getting hives and all that. Then you got to go take your ass to the goddamn doctor. Stop wearing these cheap ass clothes. Y'all don't want to spend on your clothes anymore with good fabrics. So you guys are out here cheaping. You got to be careful even with some Amazon clothes. You heard about the shit with the wigs. That's why I don't be buying my wigs anymore, shit from Amazon. Because of course, as you know, some of the hair is pulled from dead people. Then you end up getting the bacterias and shit. People been coming down with this. There'll be witchery. Do you understand? That's chemical warfare. That's like a witch doctor experiment. In the UK, the government would like to start treating misogyny as an extremist, basically a terrorist attack against women. They saying men are doing too much out here. But which man are you talking about? The man in a dress or a biological man? Which one? Because I'm finding more and more men that are trans and men who are cross-dressing are more detrimental towards women. And I had someone argue with me again, talking about that men are the prize. I'm not going to argue with a man who don't have a pussy, who don't have a period, and who can't have children. And women out here close to death after they have children, after they talk about fucked up pussy. I don't have time for that. Silly. August 23rd, 1989, white mob murders black teen in Brooklyn, New York. Yusef Hawkins. Brothers like this and the dead, these are the energies that should be uprooted ancestrally and give them revenge, redemption, and responsibility. Anyway. People of the lesbian gay community in India are calling on the government to stop the ban on blood donation from individuals from their community. The reason why, and this is in India, and I hate to speak on India, but I'm going to speak on the United States. Originally, the reason why they stopped accepting blood from the gay community, especially gay men, was due to AIDS and HIV. Because people were donating blood and they were in the long run getting basically contaminated blood, and they had to throw away a lot of the blood. I used to work for Irwin Blood, a blood bank, back in the 90s. So I know the what's up. So they need to stop playing. Okay? Anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches Blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. This is Weird Renegade Witches Blog. I forgot, people wanted me to talk about Irv Gotti really quick. So, however, it's allegedly that Irv Gotti had a stroke, which is very interesting. And people were asking me, what did I think about that? Well, first of all, it's a little suspicious because it came from, I guess, Whack 100. And allegedly he spoke to somebody, and I guess in a stroke recovery energy. And my whole thing is that, that's something very interesting that they kept a secret. But again, Irv Gotti is a Cancer, and this is the month of August. So that's why I'm saying also in the month of August, for the Cancer energy, you have to be very careful because this is a very sacrificial month. And for some reason in the month of August, there's a lot of energies, and I explained it earlier in the video, there's a lot of energies of sacrificial and towards the Cancer energy. We can say the water energy, but again, I'm being layman because I'm talking about astrology because they work with astrology. And right now, this is election. Remember, I talked about the Libra energy is in effect with Aries energy. So the first thing they're going to do is go to the Cancer for the sacrificial energy and the frequencies that they need. And also understand any time that they want to shut down, especially a Cancer, they always going to go for the head, most definitely. So it's kind of like, I call it the Bobby Hemmett effects, when they want to shut down the professor, or what I call the person who has more of the anointing and give understanding and tell the truth. The first thing they do is fuck with your head. Now, the funny thing is that what I'm very interested about this Irv Gotti having a stroke, I said, is he going to come back as a new person? Who is he going to be? Or if not, are they leading us into death? allegedly? Are they leading us into death, and has he already been removed out of the frequencies? Okay, when they're talking like this. Because how in the hell does something happen to Irv Gotti, and we're just now finding out about it and talking about he may be walking with a walker? Okay, and I'm a little suspicious. I'm like, that's like physical therapy. That's like a minute. Like what's going on here? You see what I mean? And they've been tripping with him for a minute. And remember that whole hoopla with Ashanti and all that shit? And like I said, I've been waiting for something to come about. And again, with her energies and how they moving in the frequency, and how Libra is moving into Cancer, that's why I'm not shocked about what's going on, of course, with Irv Gotti and the frequencies. So this is not about what they call celebrity gossip. This is about the connections and how astrology is being used in their world, and how things and how frequencies are coming through. And again, they can think what they want to think, but this is the frequencies of use. And then, of course, again in August, they always sacrifice, as they call, cancers, or being energies to pull from cancers. So that's why cancers very much have to protect their energies. Okay, so anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done.